We want to keep the interest going. We want to keep people watching. We want to keep people asking questions. We want to keep people guessing.
I'm not crazy about the idea of the All-Star race being in the daytime because Dover doesn't have lights.
Once the race starts, it'll be stressful and chaotic.
Welcome to the Backstretch. I am News 5's Heather Williams, and take those seatbelts, give them a couple extra tugs this week because we are going to Daytona. It is the cutoff race for the regular season. The playoffs start next week in Darlington, and I promise you there is going to be drama this week. Daytona in and of itself creates drama, and then when you add to it, oh, by the way, there are 2 playoff spots up for grabs, it can get pretty wild. There's going to be guys on a lot of agendas. There are going to be, I don't know, 24 drivers that think they have a legitimate chance of winning this race, maybe more, and they all kind of do. And that's what makes this, I'm not a huge super speedway racer, but I think that's what makes this the perfect cutoff race for the regular season, because anything can happen. You can get a Harrison Burton walk-off. You can get Austin Dillon a few years ago. You can get a lot of drama. And I mean, I like drama. I like not knowing who won, who's going to win. Unless I'm watching the Chiefs at the Super Bowl, and then I don't like it. But as a casual observer who doesn't really have a rooting interest, I love the excitement of being on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's going to happen or who's going to win or who's going to steal a playoff spot. It's probably not as pleasant for the 2 guys that currently own that spot in Tyler Reddick and Alex Bowman. That is something that we will certainly be talking about with our crew chief, Chris Carrier. We also kind of recap what happened last week at Richmond, and the NASCAR schedule came out this week. So we will talk about all of the intricacies, the new tracks, what's interesting, what's cool, what's maybe not so cool, and kind of break that all down for you. Our guest this week, the champ is in the house. Regular season champion William Byron will be stopping by. You would think that this week would be kind of stress-free for him. He's already wrapped up the championship. He's already in the playoffs, but it's not as stress-free as you might think. So really interesting conversation with Willie B. That is coming up. Let's get going. Joining us now is our crew chief, Chris Carrier, who also happens to be the crew chief for the number 75 Food Country truck in the Craftsman Truck Series. NASCAR has released its 2026 schedule for all 3 series, and includes a lot of things we already knew and a few surprises. We got North Wilkesboro getting a points race. The All-Star race is heading to Dover. We're going to Chicagoland, street racing in San Diego, and Homestead is the season finale. So, Chris, what sticks out for you in the final schedule?
I think the biggest thing for me, I guess, too, the San Diego road race, street race, whatever you want to call it, I think is going to be a big hit. It's all 3 series, and it's at the Naval Base. I think there'll probably be, you know, they'll put on the Ritz for this. I think I don't know how the racing will be. I expect it will be really good. I don't have no reason to think otherwise. I don't even know if anybody knows what the course is going to look like, except it's going to be on the runways of the Naval Base. But I think it will be a very good point in history for NASCAR. I think people will remember this for a long time. The second thing is the fact that North Wilkesboro is back with a points race, which a lot of people have been, you know, lobbying for that for quite some time. And now Dover will host the All-Star race, which, you know, maybe we'll see a really good All-Star race now. So I don't know those things.
I know you love Dover, but the thing for,
I love Dover.
The thing for Dover for the All-Star race for me is that, first of all, it feels like it got it because somebody had to lose a points race, and they were the odd man out. So
True.
that kind of feels eh. Also, I'm not crazy about the idea of the All-Star race being in the daytime, because Dover doesn't have lights. So,
this is a good point.
You know, it
this
just is going to
point.
feel a little less glamorous in the daytime.
I
guess we'll see how this goes. I'm also fascinated by, because Ben Kennedy, NASCAR did a Zoom call with reporters about the schedule. Ben Kennedy talked about they're probably going to have to build or going to build either some kind of pass under or pass over tunnel at North Wilkesboro because there's no way to get out, you know, and they don't want drivers and owners and stuff don't want to be trapped inside North Wilkesboro if you go on lap 2 for 400 laps.
Absolutely not. They, you know, for years Bristol was without a tunnel of any type, and it presented problems. You know, if you have to stop the race to get somebody out of the infield for whatever reason it may be, then you know that's kind of that's an impediment, to be honest with you.
And let's ask Ricky Stenhouse Jr. what kind of impediment there can be for being stuck in there for, what was it, 50 laps?
Yeah, and then the result of that was, you know, Kyle Busch getting his head knocked off. And he hadn't run very good since then. But anyway, that is a good point. I think, really, Heather, to be honest with you, the result of that may be very good in the end of the day. I'm trying to think in my head where the tunnel will actually come out in the infield, but I'm sure they'll put some science into it and figure out that, you know, they'll have to think about the drainage, the cause of the
I mean, it
infield runs
sounded
down.
to me like it's probably going to be more of a crossover, a bridge of some sort, rather than under, because of what you mentioned. I think that there's some flooding concerns at North Wilkesboro. Also fascinated, personally, on the schedule with the move of Watkins Glen to May. And also Kansas moving up in the schedule.
I think, just personally, I think the Watkins Glen thing, I'm going to assume that I think it's kind of the 1st of May, kind of, early in May. I got a feeling the weather is going to be a lot cooler then.
It has the potential to actually
be
really cold for that race and the Kansas race. That's why it fascinates me.
Which I think for that area, yeah, it might be a little bit cool, but also I think it'll be very green and very springy. I think it'll be really beautiful. I mean, it's already beautiful. It's beautiful probably any time you go up there, but I think I'll be interested to see. I hope we get to go. I think we will, but I'll be curious to see how it is. I love those type, kind of like early football weather, like spring, early, clear, cool mornings and cool days and so on and so forth. And you know, Watkins Glen's day racing too. There are no lights. So I think that'll be kind of neat. Maybe it'll be actually better, like more attractive to spectator sport. And we'll see how it works out with TV as well. I don't know. There's a lot of a few changes, some wrinkles that you know we're going to have to get used to, and I think it'll be it'll be pretty interesting myself. I think it'll be pretty cool for our truck race schedule. There is actually a road race at St. Petersburg, Florida.
With the Indy cars. And I know
the Indy cars.
You're excited because your team and your driver are good at road racing, but also your team and your driver love the IndyCar series. So that could be a really fun weekend for you guys.
We could just have all kind of fun down there, you know. So, and I've never been to actually that part of Florida, close to Tampa. I've heard a lot of people talk about how cool it is, how neat it is. I think it's a good thing. I'm not sure that all the Truck Series owners are happy about having 5 road races, but I know some are. So we'll see. We'll see.
You guys being one of them, because you guys have a good chance to win on the road courses.
Our guys pretty good at road racing, and we like road racing. We do pretty good at it, you know, most of the time. So we're, you know, what it is, what it is. We'll see how it happens. We'll see how it works.
Not necessarily for your team because you guys don't run a full schedule, but Bristol will now be the kickoff for the playoffs for both the Truck Series and what used to be, or still is, but will no longer be the Xfinity Series at the end of the year, the O'Reilly Parts Auto Series. Both of their playoffs are going to start at Bristol instead of it being kind of jumbled. So that's kind of good for the schedule, that there's a little more consistency in that.
I agree with that 100%. I'll be honest with you, being involved in it, and I still am confused about who starts playoffs when. It's like we were talking about high school football. Tennessee starts this week, Virginia starts next week. It's always been a little confusing to me because the sports are, but it's been confusing to me about the playoffs. And you know, my guess is that a lot of the spectators you know, our fan base stays a little bit confused about that. And they might even, you know, they probably want to choose the races they go to by, okay, what can I get, what am I going to get here? What can I get the most bang for my buck? Am I going to see playoff races in all 3 series? Heck yeah, I'm going. And the first one being Bristol. So
It's Bristol, baby.
Bristol, baby.
And
can get any better than that.
Says a cutoff for the Cup race, so that's cool. So one of the other things that stuck out on the NASCAR call today with Ben Kennedy is that the schedule came out and it had round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, round of 4 championship race. But he said that didn't necessarily mean that the playoffs are going to be exactly that way next year. That's just based on this year's schedule.
Okay.
So,
okay. Fair enough.
Do you think a change is coming to the playoffs?
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds to me like it, or I think he would not have put that out there. And I think that, to me, I think it's no matter what's wrong, what's right, what's good, what's bad, what's okay, what's whatever. But I think it's time that NASCAR probably says, you know, it's time to change it up a little bit, because we want to keep the interest going. We want to keep people watching. We want to keep people asking questions. We want to keep people guessing a little bit and trying new things.
Well, and I think
that's their history.
I think that this year specifically has exposed a few flaws in this playoff system. Not that it's not good. I love the playoffs personally. I love the drama, the entertainment, the walk-off moments, all of that stuff. But they eliminated the top 30 rule a few years back, so you could be 40th in points, and as long as you run full time, make the playoffs. So we have several players that are pretty low in points that have qualified. I think 3 that are pretty far back. That's one flaw in the system. And then also just the fact that someone who is as good as, say, Alex Bowman, and this happened before because it happened with Martin Truex Jr. a few years back, be in the top 10 in points and not make the playoffs. I think those are 2 things that fans want to see corrected more than anything else consistently. There are fans that will complain about everything. I mean, you could do, you know.
True.
But those are two legitimate concerns that fans have complained about, and I think the 2 things that we might likely see fixed. I think we might see a multi-race round for the playoffs, 2 or 3 races deciding the championship, and I think we might see maybe the reinstatement of the top 30 or the top 25 to get in the playoffs.
I would be, everything you talked about there is to me it's on the right course, and the course that I think we need to be going to make our playoff system better, the best it can be. Now, whatever changes they come with this year or not, if they do come with changes, is that going to be the end of it? No. They'll go a couple more years and say, okay, this here seems to be a problem, or this here seems to be maybe not quite fair, or maybe not the best way of crowning a champion. Maybe we can have a little bit, you know, a little bit different, this, that, or the other. The part about, I guess, me personally, I have a little bit of problem with the one race deciding a winner, even though it's only between 4 drivers. You got to remember that it is down to 4 drivers, so that is a little different than saying, okay, we're going to take 20 drivers and whoever wins the championship in one race. I'd like to see it at least a couple races, maybe 3, and say, okay, whoever has the best results, and you know, then I still think you'd have down to the last race.
I think you can still. I think you can still create those walk-off moments, because basketball and baseball and hockey all have series, best of series. And there's still plenty of drama. You still get your Game 7 moments. That's literally why it's a Game 7 moment.
Every year. So I commend NASCAR, and I also commend the people, the drivers, the teams, the people who are putting the media, putting input into this thing to say how can we do this just a little bit better. And know that, you know, what we've got now isn't terrible. what we had 30 years ago wasn't terrible. It's what the best thing we could do at the time. And you know, I think when they started this thing, it's like you know, this is what it's going to be for now, and we may have to change a little something here and there. It's just like a lot of other things down through the years. The restart stuff, you know, they've messed with that, you know, and it's probably still not exactly right. But is it going to be perfect? Probably never.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some discussion about it, and that means that people are interested about it, and people are watching it, and people are thinking about it, and people have ideas about it, which that means there's viewership, and there's interest, and there's you know, excitement about it. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they will come up with. I think Ben Kennedy is a very intelligent, well, I know he's a very intelligent young man. I've worked with him a little bit in some truck races and stuff. I've been around him. He's a great personality. He's very forward thinking and very out of the box, but he does respect what has gone on in NASCAR in earlier years, like way back before he was born, and he knows what his family has done, and he respects this part, and he cares about what the viewers think. So let him see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm sure it'll be pretty interesting.
Speaking of seeing what happens and interesting drama, this week we head to the final regular season race of the year, Daytona.
Yep.
Wild card.
Yep.
There are 2 spots open.
Yep.
What do you think is going to happen? Who gets those final 2 spots?
You know, I'm going to go out on, I think, make sure I'm thinking the right way. Brad Keselowski's not in yet, is he?
No, the 2 people that currently hold the final 2 spots are Tyler Reddick and Alex Bowman.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. I think Brad Keselowski's going to win the race. I just have a feeling. I may be totally wrong. He may be the slowest car there and flip through the infield on the pace lap. But I mean,
the Daytonas will both have about the same amount of chance of happening.
That's true. Any of that could happen. All of it could happen. Well, not all of it, but most of it could happen. But I have a feeling I've seen him running a little bit better this, let's say the second half of this season or the later half of this season. I've seen him showing some muscle, showing some improvement. I've seen the team showing some improvement. The company, I'm talking about you know, all 3 of his teams, and he is an excellent restrictor plate racer. He has a great history of it. I think he's just, I don't want to say desperate, but he's just hungry enough. I think he'll have a good car. I think he'll have a fast car, and I think you'll see him up front. And when he gets up front, he is the best at keeping that lead of moving back and forth and back and forth. So that's my pull out of my pocket.
I think you're almost right, because when I was pressed earlier on a radio show that I do, who I think's going to win, I think it's going to be Chris Buescher.
Well, that's out of the same camp.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like one of those RFK teams is probably going to get in. I also think there's a really good possibility that the team that doesn't make it is Tyler Reddick. Mm-hmm. And he was 160 points up to the good just a few weeks ago. But that has narrowed and narrowed and narrowed. And right now, Alex Bowman is running better than Tyler Reddick. I just think...
He is, that's for sure.
You know, I hate to see it. I mean, I hate to see anyone that's going to make the playoffs. I would hate it if Alex misses the playoffs, too, because I think those are 2 legitimate playoff teams.
I do, too.
But
I do, too.
I think if pressed, I think there's a really good possibility that it is an outside winner and Alex Bowman that makes the playoffs.
Well, to go along with what you're saying is I know that when Tyler Reddick he just hadn't had any, I guess you're going to call it racing luck. It just seems like every week something happens that keep him from having success. Because something keeps, you know, the wheels fly off some way, not literally, but. And
well, his teammates' wheel fell off last week.
Well, hey, that's true. Yes, this team. Yes. Let's don't even talk about that. But anyway, and I will say this: if Bubba Wallace wasn't already in the playoffs, I would be unequivocally be picking him to win the race. this week.
He
And
might still.
He might still. But I think Brad's going to be in a spot to where he's hungrier, and also Chris Buescher. And I think, and you know, we missed a third one on that team. If he can keep on the ground,
all four of them on the ground.
if he can stay on the ground and keep off his roof, he might win the race too. He'll have a good chance.
You know, there's a lot of drivers, I mean, that are very good at Daytona that need to get in. And you look at Michael McDowell as another one that could go down there and win.
Yeah. What if Justin Haley wins?
Carson Hocevar.
I
think all three of those Spire teams.
Well, sure. You don't know.
I mean, let's be honest.
Ricky Stenhouse.
Ty Dillon.
Could win the race at Daytona.
Ty Gibbs.
He could. Ty Gibbs could win. Absolutely.
A lot of drivers that could, and so I think that's going to make it really interesting.
I think it's going to be hold your breath. I hope I'm wrong, but there probably will be some carnage because everybody is hungry. A lot of guys are hungry. A lot of them are going to be like, I ain't getting my knee skint and all this stuff. I'm just going to lay back and, take it easy. That'll last for a little while, and then they'll get impatient and bored, and they'll be up there right in the middle of it too, trying to win. Because I want to win the Daytona summer race. It used to be called the Firecracker 400, but I want to win it. So. What I was saying about Tyler Reddick is those guys that like, you kind of feel like everything's happening to us every week, and we get, it kind of gets to be a mindset.
It's a little self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is. It's a psychological deal, and sometimes you get caught up saying, okay, I don't want to get in trouble here. I don't want to, and then all of a sudden, oh gosh, I'm 35th. Or I just did run into somebody, trying not to run into somebody else. I'm simplifying that, but it is a mental thing, and trust me, speedway racing, all racing, but speedway racing is 90% mental. A lot of mistakes can be made. There's a lot of possibilities for mistakes out there, really every lap. So I wouldn't want to be in Tyler Reddick's shoes. The young man's got a lot of pressure on him this week. It's his spot to lose, and that's, as human beings, we all, we say, boy, I'd like to be in his spot, and then kind of like, not really. I'd like to be in an underdog spot, and that way if I don't make it, nobody's pointing fingers at me. But I do think we will have a different winner. My pick is Brad Keselowski. Hers is Chris Buescher. Good chance one of those two might be, but some of the ones we listed there, there's a lot of guys that want to get in those playoffs. And there's a lot of good race cars and a lot of good speedway drivers, a lot of good speedway drivers in the field. It's going to be, I think, tenacious this Saturday night. And, night racing at Daytona, I just wish it was on the 4th of July like it used to be, but whatever. It's going to be a good. I think it's going to be a good race. It'll be a good view. I think there's going to be some excitement. There'll probably be some maybe ill tempers after the race. It's going to be hot, so it's going to be a test. So I'm looking forward to watching both races this weekend at Daytona.
First of all, William, thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations on your regular season championship. You ticked that off the box. How does it feel to have that in your pocket now?
Yeah, it feels great. It honestly just kind of sets us up for a pretty easygoing week. And Daytona, we still want to try to get some bonus points, but it's pretty nice to get that locked in early.
You get to go into Daytona with kind of, no agenda other than to get a bunch of points. You won there in the spring at the Daytona 500, and you've already got the championship. Does it just make it more relaxing, I guess? Because Daytona is generally not relaxing.
Yeah, I think it makes the pre-race more relaxing and before you get in the car. But honestly, once the race starts, it'll be stressful and chaotic, and have some goals to try to help our teammates and just kind of not help another guy get a win. So just try to do the right things there and be up front at the end.
And so is the kind of agenda, if you can't win, to help Alex get in the playoffs? Is that kind of the mentality going in there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those guys deserve to be in and definitely want to have all of our teammates in there. So that'll be the goal.
How chaotic is this going to be? With him and Tyler trying to get in on points, with all the guys that want to try to get in with the win, the way Daytona is. I know last year the cutoff was not Daytona, but do you expect it to be kind of back to chaotic Daytona?
Um, yeah, I can't remember. I think last year Harrison Burton won, so that was a pretty big surprise. And he was, I think, like 26th in points. So yeah, it's just been a crazy, series of events there. Usually Daytona's usually pretty wild for this last race. We were involved in that in when I got my first win. That was we were right on the cut line battling Jimmy to get in the playoffs, and it was a crazy night. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be wild.
So you kind of mentioned two walk-off moments at Daytona. I know there's been a lot of talk about the playoffs. I know now your perspective might be a little different because you won the regular season by such a big margin, but what are your feelings on the playoffs?
I mean, I like the tracks in the first round for us. I think they line up well. Darlington's really good. Um, I like the second round, looks pretty good. The third round is kind of could be a bit chaotic with Talladega in there. So you just gotta get to that point first off, and if you can get to the round of 8, you have a chance to compete for a championship. So it's yeah, just trying to get there.
You've made the championship force a few times now, uh, but Penske seems to have a stranglehold on that. With the change in the tires and the kind of race that we saw at Richmond, do you think that will change the way that Phoenix runs this year?
I'm not sure what tire they're using for Phoenix yet, so I don't know if it's the Loudon tire, Richmond tire, or if it's a different one. But if it is that tire, it's going to wear out quite a bit, so we're going to have to adjust for that. But Phoenix is a pretty long ways away, so just trying to stack the good playoff races first, and especially the short tracks, just try to stack Gateway and Loudon and be good at those places. That'll give you confidence to go to Phoenix.
Did you like the kind of racing we had over the weekend?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I mean, Richmond, that was about as good a race as we've had at Richmond in a long time. It just looked like a true short track race. It looked like you had guys falling off more than others. You had tire strategy, you had tire management. Yeah, you had a lot of pitting sequences, which I thought was exciting to watch. It's always unfortunate when a caution kind of breaks those things up and kind of jumbles the field, but luckily we only had really one of those, and it seemed like the other times it was clean and green. So yeah, it was kind of, I thought it was really good just to see the strategy play out, and the best cars, honestly, the best cars came towards the front, so that was good.
Do you think that the softer tires is kind of the way to go on the short tracks to improve the racing? I mean, we're kind of stuck with the car that we have, at least for this year. Is this the way to kind of fix that?
Yeah, I think there's still things we could work on with the aero side, but the tire definitely helped the short track. So yeah, I mean we've been going to short tracks for a couple years now, and usually fall off about a half second to a second. And this tire was falling off 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. So big difference.
For my final thought tonight, I want to talk about H.A. Humpy Wheeler. You probably heard that name over the last day or so. He passed away on Thursday. If you're a newer fan, you may not really understand the impact that Humpy had on the sport. If you're under the age of 40, maybe in your 30s. Humpy, all the things that you think about when you think about what goes on at the track, pre-race concerts, big performances, electrifying drivers' intros, fan zones, all of that stuff, skydivers coming in, all of that is Humpy Wheeler. He was the ultimate promoter. He just really understood how to put on a party. I had the pleasure of just a few times interacting with Humpy, here and there, hi, meeting him, being at his events. I came into the sport a little late in his tenure. He retired as the president and general manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway in 2008. I came into the sport in 2003, so just a very short crossover there. But he was the guy that brought in motorcycle jumps. He was the guy that helped get Janet Guthrie into the World 600, really wanted her in the race. So if you don't know who Humpy Wheeler is, I would encourage you to get on social media and read the tributes about him, the things that he did in the sport. I would encourage you to Google him, learn about him, watch videos of him, because I think you'll see and you'll understand that the things that you love about going to the track, a lot of those things were in large part to Humpy Wheeler. And so I want to send my best out to all the hundreds of people that knew and loved Humpy and especially his family. NASCAR lost a good one this week. And so I just want people to know and understand how great Humpy Wheeler was for this sport. Thanks for joining us on the Backstretch. We'll see you next week.